Is Geoff Wilson 100% wrong with his recent video, the Is It Time to Panic video he put out a few days ago about the overall sports card market? We will dive in today on today's episode of the Sports Card Dad.
Like a sports card entrepreneur.
What's going on, sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends? It is another day, another sports card video. If you're new here, you probably need to hit that subscribe button. Just kidding. Only if you want to. Help us to gain a little bit more traction. Spider these videos out to the masses. Also connect with me on IG at Sports Card Dad. Before we dive into the main topic, a huge thanks to today's video sponsor, COMC.com, your home for buying, selling, and flipping all the hottest trading cards. Their consignment marketplace now home to over 33 million cards, from baseball's biggest stars like Shohei Ohtani, Aaron Judge, and Mookie Betts to Marvel favorites like Spider-Man, Thor, and Captain America. COMC has something for every type of collector, so make sure to visit COMC.com today to build out your collection with all of your favorite cards. I've got a link to take you there in the video description, as well as in the pinned comments below. All right, hot take Geoff Wilson trying to temper the flames that we have seen spiral a little bit out of control when we're talking about sports card and, frankly, a lot of collectibles pricing. And so he kind of does this messaging here and there, and I do respect it. There are some things that I agree with what he's saying, but there's going to be a couple of little twists and turns, some nuance to it that I think that I don't necessarily agree with, and we will dive in. So the one thing that he hits on, I think kind of the main thing, and that does make a lot of sense, is just the time of year. He mentions last year, same sort of thing. We have kind of a pullback as far as card sales, as well as attendance at card shows. It usually does kind of taper off as we get into the holiday season, November, December. Makes perfect sense. People are traveling. People have got to allocate funds to Christmas parties and Christmas presents or Hanukkah or, Thanksgiving or whatever it is. A lot of people are traveling. It just makes sense. Absolutely. And he does mention, and I do agree with him, I think there's going to be some nice little buying pockets within this particular time frame. But the part that's a little bit different, I think, as we're talking about this, and last year we had a similar deal, is just in 2023, outside of a few players here and there, short-term bursts, and we'll get into that here in a second, it's mainly been another down year for cards. We saw it in 2022, and then in 2023, it's been it for a lot of cards, I would say for most cards. And I will get people in the comments that say, hey, specific Ken Griffey Jr. inserts are selling at all-time highs, or Michael Jordan rare stuff. Yes, if a green PMG Michael Jordan hits the auction block, it'll probably set a new record. There are cards out there that are setting new records, but we're talking about a tiny little fraction. I'm talking about most cards. And so I think it feels like a slight kick to the nuts, when we've been already seeing kind of that downward trend, not just 2023, but really 2022 also. I think for a lot of people, they're really taking a hard look at their collection as to, okay, should I just kind of get out of this thing? Should I move out of a lot of the stuff and just get what I want to have and hold on to that? And maybe it's consolidation into fewer cards, or maybe it's consolidation into one player as opposed to 5 players, or a few sets as opposed to 20 sets that they're trying to complete. And I think that those are really normal conversations that we're all having. How do we want our collection to look? And that changes over time. I mean, let's be honest, like 5 years ago, is your collection exactly what you thought it was going to be? Is it exactly the same as what it was 5 years ago? For some people, the answer might be yes. For a lot of us, I think it'd be like, wow, you know what? I learned about this new player, this new set.
This is the Rookie Rage complete set.
This new genre of cards or other collectibles. Oh, I got into this. I got into graded video games, or I got into comic books, and I wasn't into it 5 years ago. There's always this evolution that we're doing, and it's not necessarily good or bad. It doesn't have to be that we're always leveling up in the sense of a monetary standpoint, but in our mind, we might be leveling up into just other collectibles that we think are awesome at that particular time. And honestly, 5-10 years down the road, there might be a whole nother set of collectibles that you've added in, or you've kind of removed something to add it in that you aren't collecting right now. But I want to talk about a big problem that I think is really hampering the modern/ultra modern market. And if we just look, I'm going to go down a list of players, and we can kind of just talk through it. I think for the baseball card market, at the National, this is a perfect example. When we were at the National, biggest card show of the year, end of July, all the hype and the buzz and excitement, Shohei Ohtani. All day, every day, man. There was so much excitement around Shohei Ohtani. This guy is the next Babe Ruth, et cetera, et cetera. So much love, so much flipping action and all that stuff. He gets hurt. This guy might not ever pitch again, and if he does pitch again, he might not be the same lethal pitcher that he has been, and that has been the big differentiator between Ohtani and everybody else. This guy not only is an elite hitter, he's also an elite pitcher. It's insane. If that changes to where he's not able to do that anymore, that's a big hit to kind of the excitement and the hype that drives a lot of modern, ultra-modern type cards. So in baseball, I feel like that Ohtani really, kind of deflated that modern, ultra-modern card market. I'm not saying there's not other prospects being chased and all that, but I'm just saying Ohtani was that guy. He was that next guy. This is going to be it. He is that next. He takes the torch. He runs with it. He's going to break all the records. He's going to go to the Yankees and win championships. And now there's a lot of question marks around it. Let's move to basketball. Really, over the last few draft classes, going back to 2018, Luka Doncic has been a hobby darling since, the last 3 or 4 years. He's the one that's really seen a massive increase in prices and excitement around his cards. Now you kind of look at him, amazing player, unbelievable. I love watching him play. He's a little whiny, and is he ever going to win anything? So you have these question marks around Luka. He was drafted with Trae Young, and Trae Young's just kind of like, that's Trae Young. Okay, whatever. He's another guy that can shoot long distance, along with everybody else. Hell, you got Wembanyama, 7'4". He can also shoot long distance. Zion, Ja Morant. Zion, will he maintain his Weight Watchers diet? Ja Morant, will he stay out of trouble? That's the big question mark with Ja Morant. These are elite talents. It's just they all have their question marks around them. Over to football. Justin Herbert never won anything. He's going to be a great quarterback that might not ever win anything, and he might not ever even be the highest on the statistical charts. I know people probably won't like this comparison, but Matt Ryan for the Falcons for a long time was a very, very good quarterback that put up huge numbers. If you look at the all-time yards list, Matt Ryan is very high up on the all-time yardage list. Never won anything, got to that one Super Bowl, 28-3, where the Falcons fell apart to Tom Brady and the Patriots. And that's really the kind of the claim to fame from a postseason standpoint for Matt Ryan. Justin Herbert could very well be a Matt Ryan, but Matt Ryan never had cards that were selling in the 6 figures like Justin Herbert. Brock Purdy and Mahomes have kind of been, the guys that are, again, they're like, we hold them up here because Brock Purdy had never lost a regular season football game up until 3 weeks ago, and I think he's 0-3. The last 3 weeks, he's struggled. He's become human. Patrick Mahomes just got thumped by the Broncos, of all teams. Patrick Mahomes looking a little bit more human this year. And he's still got Travis Kelce, still got a great team around him. I still think the Chiefs make a postseason run and do their thing, but he's looking a little more human. Patrick Mahomes has been playing just out of his mind for 4 or 5 seasons now, and we're starting to see a little bit of a chink in the armor. Our team's starting to figure him out. Probably not. Patrick Mahomes is probably going to be that guy for the next decade. But again, it just speaks to the fact that if you're holding these cards, Mahomes' prices have been way up here. So you're paying for all of that. You're already paying for the championships and the MVP. So it's not like you're buying in and getting some sort of a deal on Mahomes. Now he's starting to look a little more human. Wembanyama, a bright spot in the NBA. The guy looks amazing. 7'4". He's shooting. I watched the highlights a second ago for the Suns game they just played. He did a cool move where he dunked with his left hand. That's a cool part of his game that I really like. Defensively, he's tough. But he drives the lane. Instead of going up with his right hand, he can dunk over you with his left. And so he's got a really great game. The guy is going to be a very good NBA player. The problem with Wemby is this might be the guy that has the first guy to have 1 trillion different rookie cards. They're going to make so many different cards of this guy over time. And that's, again, speaking to the supply problem. I've seen a lot of talk about this with fanatics wanting to 10x the hobby. How do you 10x the hobby when you don't 10x the supply of stuff? Wembanyama is going to have an absolute truckload of cards, and then it'll be up to the hobby to figure out kind of what's the most important stuff. And there's so much up in the air between Panini and Topps and Fanatics. It's like, what's what? What's up? What's down? Nobody really knows right now. And so this is the problem with the modern, ultra modern market right now with a lot of these newer players. There's just so much uncertainty, not even just with the players themselves, around the companies that are making cards. It's tough. And then, of course, you've got the economic stuff that's kind of in the background where, people have just kind of seen that decrease coming off of, let's not forget, the Black Swan event that was 2020 and 2021 with all the money flowing in and the Mount Everest rise in card prices. We are still trying to find the bottom. Everyone's kind of like, God, we've seen a 2.5-year decrease. Are we at the bottom? And not that you can always time the bottom, but when we're talking about something like this, where these are just fun, alternative investment type stuff, you're going to be a little bit more careful than if you're trying to time, the stock market or real estate, traditional stuff. Are you as worried about timing the bottom when you're putting money into your S&P 500 fund? Probably not. I'm just putting money into it, and then 20, 30 years down the road when I retire, we'll sort it out then. So going back to Geoff's comments, is it a time to panic? Not necessarily. It's actually probably a great buying time for a lot of different things. But again, the big argument will be will 6 months down the road be a better buying time? Will a year down the road be a better buying time? We all have to ask ourselves these questions. And what makes it even more complicated, especially if you're collecting in different categories like I am, is there might be great opportunities in one category, better opportunities in one category that I'm seeing than in other categories. And so we all have to kind of, figure this out for ourselves. But that's part of the fun, right? All right, guys, that's all I've got today. Make sure to check out Geoff Wilson's video. Overall, a good video. And I think messaging-wise, nothing wrong with it whatsoever. And again, I'm always thinking kind of long-term with a lot of these things. If we're talking about short-term pricing, probably going to be a little bit of a bumpy road. But all in all, I believe in the category, the collectibles, this sort of stuff as we move forward. I think it's going to be a fun ride. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.